Today is NHL Draft Lottery Day, so today we're going to preview what to expect later on in the Draft Lottery. We're going to take a look at what teams have the best odds. We're going to take a look at some historical data and how the lottery has changed over the years, how the picks work, take a look at some of the top prospects and what to expect later on in tonight's event. All that coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, today's NHL Draft Lottery Day. It's an exciting time for teams that did not make the playoffs. Of course, there are 16 teams that are wondering if they're going to have great luck in tonight's event and get to move up in the draft and hopefully pick higher than they were originally scheduled to based on the standings. So what we're going to do here today, we're going to take a look first at some historical data. We're going to go through how the draft lottery has changed over the years, explain exactly how it works today for those who may not be completely familiar. We're going to take a look at the odds for each team of winning, understand and explain like how the process works to move up, how the draft order is determined, and then of course from there we're going to take a look at some of the top prospects to get excited about for teams that are going to be picking high in this year's 2024 NHL draft, and just give you an idea of what to expect here for tonight. So first we're going to go into some historical data, then the odds, and then the prospects, and go from there. Get started first with some draft lottery history. From 95 to 2012, the NHL's rules stipulated that the clubs selected in the draft lottery could not move up more than 4 spots in the draft order. So only clubs with the opportunity to receive the first overall selection were the bottom 5 teams of the regular season, or the clubs that acquired one of those picks via trade. No club will move down more than 1 spot as a result of the draft lottery. Prior to the 14-15 season, we've seen prominent changes to the lottery process. For the 2015 lottery, the odds were changed, giving less weight to finishing 30th overall, because remember, there were 30 teams at the time, in addition to a more spread out distribution of the odds. The opportunity to select first overall was awarded to any team that wins the lottery instead of the maximum 4-slot advancement. From 2016 to 2019, they changed it again so that the top 3 picks were included in the lottery process, so they were all done via the draw, ensuring that the team that finishes 30th overall is only guaranteed a top 4 selection, and kind of discouraging tanking here as part of this process, instead of the second pick being a worst case scenario under the previous set of rules. Now that takes us through the 2020 NHL Draft Lottery, where we had some changes yet again due to the shortened season and the pandemic effects of the league. The New York Rangers ended up winning the second phase of the 2020 Draft Lottery, giving them the first overall pick. So the Rangers were among 8 teams that lost in the qualifying round of the playoffs with the chance to claim it. The league was forced to adjust the process, like I said, after the COVID-19 pandemic paused the season, and the lottery was turned into a 2-phase process. The league's bottom 7 teams had their seasons concluded March 12th and ended up not winning the lottery in June 12th. The winning placeholder team, which became the Rangers, got the pick with a 12.5% chance. Now in 2021, of course, that was a 1-year kind of situation because of the pandemic. So from 2021 forward, they made more adjustments, which is what you're used to here today. In 2021, they changed it so that the top 2 spots of the draft were determined by the draft lottery process, down from the previous number of 3. Starting in 2022, a team could only move up a maximum of 10 spots, making only 11 of the 16 teams in the draft lottery and who missed the playoffs eligible for the first overall pick. And also beginning in 2022, another rule that went into effect was a team can win the lottery no more than 2 times in a 5-year span. So obviously we've only had a couple of years since that started. So if any of the teams that won 2022 or 2023 draft lotteries, they can, if they win again, for example, for 24, then they will not be eligible again until that 5-year period has expired. Take a look at some of the history here just to get an idea in the past, like what has happened. Is the team with the best odds won, or how often have they not won? And we're going to just take a look at the last 10 years of NHL Draft Lottery history. So from 2023 back to 2013. So looking at 2023, the Ducks had the best chance, but Chicago won the lottery. In 2022, Montreal had the best chance and actually won. picking Uri Slafkovsky. Of course, last year was the Bedard draft. In 2021, the Sabres had the best chance and won, selecting Owen Power. So 2 years in a row that the team with the best chance actually won. And of course, in 2020, it was Detroit based on those standings, as we talked about. That was a unique set of circumstances where it was a two-phase lottery process, and the Rangers ended up winning and getting the first pick, even though they had the 14th best odds when the season came to a screeching halt because of the pandemic. In 2019, Ottawa had the best chance. As you can see, there's an asterisk there. New Jersey actually won the lotto. Ottawa did not want to win in that case, even though they had the best odds, because that pick was traded as part of the Matt Duchene trade that went to the Colorado Avalanche. So they did not want to see a gift of Jack Hughes go to Colorado because of a bad trade from Pierre Dorion. In 2018, the Buffalo Sabres had the best chance and won, selecting Rasmus Dahlin. In 2017, the Avalanche had the best chance, but it went to New Jersey where they selected Nico Hischier. In 2016, the Leafs had the best chance and won, getting Austin Matthews. In 2015, the Sabres had the best chance, but unfortunately did not have any luck and did not get Connor McDavid. That went to the Edmonton Oilers. Looking at the Buffalo Sabres again in 2014, they did not win. 2 years in a row. They did have better luck later on, as you can see. That went to Florida where they got Aaron Ekblad. And in 2013, Florida had the best chance, but it went to Colorado where they picked up Nathan McKinnon. So there's about a 40% chance here in the last 10 years that the team with the best odds actually won. And as you can see, we have a lot of teams that were in the number 3 spot, or in some cases the number 2 spot, that were just as lucky and won those draft lottery draws. So at the same time, if you're a Sharks fan, you know you got good odds tonight to win this draft lottery. But if you're a team like Chicago or Anaheim, historically speaking, they've had just as much success at winning these lotteries in the past as the team with the absolute best chances. Look at the teams that have the best chance here in the 2024 draft lottery. Of course, San Jose has the best chance, over 25% chance of landing first overall. Obviously, pretty high pick, high percentage to be top 3. If you look at their number 3% odds, that's really high. Obviously, that's because 2 teams can come up and pass them if they have unlucky draft lottery results here, but they can go no lower than 3rd. So at the end of the day, the Sharks are picking top 3, guaranteed, but the best chances are unfortunately to not win either draw and to end up picking 3rd, as you can see. Chicago has the second best chance. And again, all the odds are more favorable to lose than to win, the way these things are weighted. So the Blackhawks are second, 13.5% chance at first overall. The Ducks are the 3rd best odds at 11.5% chance to win. The Jackets next at 9.5. Montreal is the 5th best at 8.5. Arizona, or I guess we'll call them Utah now, again at 7.5. Ottawa at 6.5. Seattle at 6. Calgary at 5. New Jersey at 3.5, and Buffalo at 3. So at the end of the day, those are the only 11 teams that have a chance to get first overall. If Philadelphia, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Detroit, or St. Louis wins that draft lottery, they'll move up their 10 spots, and the top of the order will remain intact. So as we've said before, these weightings are done in a way so that they're discouraging tanking and not really, far from a guarantee to be the worst team in the league and get the first overall pick. So will we see Macklin Celebrini end up in San Jose? He does have ties to the area, playing hockey in the area, of course, as a youngster. His dad works for the Golden State Warriors. There's a lot of connections there. We'll have to wait and see how things work out. But for right now, let's jump over now and take a look at some of the top prospects in this draft and give you an idea what to expect for some of the teams, depending on where they end up picking here once this order is determined. Well, Macklin Celebrini, the first overall pick, is a consensus player that all scouts are saying will be chosen first. He's definitely going to be a franchise type of player. Very different than what we've seen last year in Connor Bedard. More comparable to, think more like Jonathan Toews. Okay, I'm not saying he's going to be Jonathan Toews, but if there's been a previous high pick that's been on to a lot of success, he'd be a good comparable, given lots of a solid 200-foot game. Obviously, lots of offense, but I think Celebrini would be Jonathan Toews with more offense, to be completely honest. But he's that style of player. Very highly skilled, but very responsible and solid, complete game. You've got Ivan Demidov as well, a highly skilled Russian player, likely going to be a center at the NHL level. Looks like he's going to be really, really good. Will definitely be right up there with Celebrini, I think, long term with impact. And of course, with these Russian players, you quite often have to wait a little while for them to make the jump to the NHL. But Demidov is definitely very, very likely to go number 2 overall. I'd be surprised if he drops in the draft here. You've got Cole Yzerman, who's arguably the top sniper, top pure goal scorer in the draft. There's other parts of his game that some scouts are not as in love with, and wouldn't be surprising if he falls more in that 8 to 15 range. It's difficult to say on how each team is going to kind of feel about him. We'll be playing college hockey next year as well, so he'll be at least a year away from playing, but still a great left-wing sniper to add to a top 6 role. You got Artem Levshinov, a big right shot defenseman, Belarusian born, playing in the U.S. at college hockey here, so he's already in North America, so I suspect he'll turn pro and get to the NHL faster than some players coming from that part of the world. But obviously, Levshinov looks to be a big, strong two-way defenseman. There's lots to like about his game, and I think he'll be NHL ready fairly quick. And that brings us to Anton Silyev, who's a monster back there, Russian-born defenseman, 6'7". Just big wingspan, great stay-at-home type defender. Not going to wow you with the offensive skill so much, although there is some necessary skills there when it comes to skating and puck moving to a degree, but Silyev's definitely more known for his size. There has been times where he's been rated the number 2 prospect in this draft as well, so he could be a little bit of a wild card or surprise to where he goes. You just never know. I mean, I'm not saying these players that I'm talking about here are going to be picked in this order, but certainly one to watch. Cole Hudson's going to be one to watch as well. Younger brother of Lane Hudson, who's both of them are going to be dominant, offensively dynamic defenseman at the NHL. Of course, Lane went a little bit later in the draft. I don't think Cole Hudson will. I think teams are going to realize they slept a bit on his brother, and he's very similarly skilled. Very talented offensive left shot D. Just came off a real strong U18 tournament with the USA. So I fully suspect he'll be, maybe run the middle part of the first round. You get Caden Lindstrom is going to be one of the big centers here. Outside of Demidov, he's definitely going to be one of the top, if not the probably the second forward off the board. At least that's expectations. He had a bit of an injury-riddled season in Medicine Hat, but at the end of the day, the Western Canadian forward here is pretty solid. He's got good size, good strength, and good offensive upside. Teams looking to add some size and strength down the middle will absolutely love this guy. So I have no doubt he'll be in the top 5 for sure, depending on how everything goes. You got Tisha Ginla. Ginla has been a high riser, a very fast rising player. His stock keeps growing. Again, he joined Team Canada for the U18s, had another solid showing. Of course, his season in the WHL finished real strong as well. Of course, he's got good pedigree, good DNA. Of course, his dad, Jerome, longtime Calgary Flame and Hall of Famer here. So, Ginla is going to be a player to watch, obviously, because he could end up in Calgary where his dad did. Zane Parekh, another great young defenseman to watch. Very talented right shot D from the OHL Saginaw Spirit. So there's lots of interesting D in this draft. You get a few high-end forwards, and then your top 10 is going to be dominated by defensemen, many of which have lots of offensive skill. So Parekh could go to a number of teams. He's probably going to rank anywhere from 6-7 down to about 12-13 on a lot of different draft tables, but will be fun to watch. Zeev Buium, the University of Denver national championship team. Buium is going to be another player to watch here. Another offensively gifted defenseman, left shot. Another player, similar skill set to a guy like Parekh, Hudson. Buium is expected to likely be top 10. So again, he'll be one of those defensemen that goes fairly early in the draft that has certainly lots of skill around him and lots to like about his championship pedigree here as well. You get Sam Dickinson, the bigger defenseman, left shot from the OHL's London Knights. Of course, London is a bit of a factory of putting out developed NHL players. Dickinson's got the size and strength and offensive ability that some of these other young defensemen don't necessarily have. So a little bit of a different style. He'll get you a lot of offense, but to me, he'll be a solid top 4D who can be a little bit more of a complete player than some of these high-end offensive guys. You've got another right shot defenseman in Carter Yakimchuk from Calgary Hitmen of the WHL. Scored 30 goals this year. fairly complete defenseman. Like long term, I expect him to round out his game and be a good D at both ends of the ice. Screams to have top 4 potential, but again, a lot of these guys will have to see how they develop. I know a team like the Sens, for example, would probably value his skill set based on what they're looking for, but he might be a little bit high to pick where they are. It's hard to say. Berkeley Catton, a smaller forward, but highly skilled, put up big points this year. Hard to say exactly where he's going to go. He could be a top 10, or he could be more of that 10 to 15 range. Catton, like I said, he's small in stature, will need to add some muscle, but one of the higher skilled, more highly flashier type of forwards to watch in the 2024 NHL draft. So that is all your historical data that you need to have to get ready for this, as well as all of the best odds of winning, the top prospects to keep an eye out for. Let me know your thoughts. We'll be doing another video later on to recap the actual results and see who's picking first overall in the 2024 NHL draft.